Good morning, everyone. Class is in session, and today we're going to talk about sound. Let's dive right in. One of the more important and often overlooked skills for a music teacher is how to run a soundboard. A lot of schools don't cover this, and it can be really overwhelming if you don't know what you're doing. This video will show you the bare basics on how to run a mixer. Now, if you're an audiophile and you know what to do, this is not for you. Also, I'm not going to go over the really intricate parts of a mixer. I'm only going to do the things that a teacher needs in order to amplify their ensemble. So without any further ado, I've got some footage from my phone camera. Let's do this.
All right, so as we can see here on my cell phone camera, we have here a Pro FX 16 channel mixer. This is from Mackie. This happens to be one that I just bought off a friend of mine, so I'm not putting any product placement or anything like that, just letting you know. So it's a pretty standard mixer. Most mixers are going to look exactly like this. I'm moving it over now, and in the back we see the power supply here and the power switch. Okay, make sure most mixers are going to come with their own cord, but if you need to replace it, make sure you get the one with the 3 prongs. I made the mistake one time of trying to use my Xbox cord as a replacement cord for not this, but for an amp, and it needed the 3 prong, and mine was only 2 prongs. So make sure that you have the right one if you need to replace. Over here we have the USB. It's one of the bigger ones, so make sure this is only for if you're going to plug this into a computer. So it is the square one. I forget what it's called. At the top here we see these outputs. They have mic underneath. So these are called XLR outputs, and you can think XLR as in they have 3 letters there. So if you think 3 letters, XLR, the 3 prongs, or if you just memorize it, that's even better. So that's where your microphones plug in. Then underneath we have what's called the line in. That's where you plug in any instruments. This is a 1/4 inch cable, otherwise known as an instrument cable. So that's these. Okay, go ahead and use the top ones. The bottom ones you don't really need to worry about. Okay, moving down we have what's called the gain. Okay, now a couple things. You want to always start. This one, it has U. Other ones will have 0. U means unity. Okay, you want to always start at unity. That means that the input from the microphone or from the instrument, that is the actual volume. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are at U. Okay, also while we're here, you might notice all of these knobs. Yeah, that looks really overwhelming, but if we look at it one channel at a time, this is a channel here. All of the knobs are the same going all the way across. Okay, so this gain is the same as this one. It's just that this is for channel 1, this is for channel 2. Okay, moving down, these you don't need to worry about. That one you don't need to worry about. These two though, these red ones, the ones that are marked aux, those are pretty important, especially if you have a jazz choir. Those are for your monitors, or show choir especially too. Those are your monitors, okay? And monitors are important for live sound. They're not super essential, but if you want your ensemble to be able to hear themselves, then yes, they are very important. The orange one, the FX, you don't need to worry about. Panning, you also really don't need to worry about. They should always be upright like this. See how it's exactly in the middle here, exactly in the middle here. Okay, if you pan it over to the left, that means that the signal is only going to go into the left speaker. If you pan it all the way to the right, that means the signal for that channel is going to go all the way through the right speaker. All right, moving down. These are important. Mute. Very, very important, okay? We have the mute buttons. They're pretty obvious. I don't have this plugged in, but when you are muted, this will light up red. And that's pretty much the standard for any mixer. Then we have your faders, okay? These faders actually should not be down all the way. If you're not using a channel, mute it. You should mute all your channels until the moment that you need them, okay? You should actually start, just like with the gain, you should always start at unity, okay? Or that's also going to be 0 on some other models. But you should always start at 0 or the U, okay? You can always turn down if you need to. You can always turn up if you need to. But this is the natural volume, okay? That's why you want to start there, okay? If you need a signal turned off, you mute it, okay? Try to get into the habit of not turning it down because there's still signal going through. The mute button cuts the signal, okay? Notice up here, on the last 4 channels, we have 9, 10, and then 11, 12, and then 13, 14, and then 15, 16. The last 2 columns, the 13, 14, and the 15, 16, don't have XLR inputs. That's why it's important, because a lot of jazz choirs are 16 voices. It's really important that you get a 32 channel mixer. This would not really serve the purposes for a school. Maybe an elementary school, since you're only going to have a few channels that you run things from. But if you're at a middle school or a high school, it's really, really a good idea to have a 32 channel mixer. All right, moving on. So we've got the main here again. It's at unity. This right here is what's called your phantom power. Now, if you've got, say, a microphone that has a switch on it, that one will probably use phantom power. You know it'll use phantom power if you've got that 48V on it. If that's the case, that means that it uses phantom power. If you don't have anything that needs phantom power, don't use it, okay? You have your outputs right here for your XLRs and for your speakers. Now, if you are in the market for a mixer, make sure you talk to your dealer about mixers that are powered versus mixers that are not powered. If you have one like this, where the mixer is not powered, you're going to need something called an amp, okay? That amp is going to amplify the signal from the mixer so that it's loud enough to go through the speakers. Most will have a spot for their headphones. If you have a headphone jack that is 1/8 of an inch, you're going to need an adapter so that it can fit. That's the standard for most mixers. You also have these red and white inputs. That's for if you want to plug in a computer or an iPod or anything like that. Okay, make sure you have the cable that can do that.
And that's the basics of running a mixer. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and click like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any questions or if I missed something. Remember, I'm not an expert, I'm just a guy with a camera. Thank you for watching. Class is dismissed. Mixers can be really daunting, and if you don't know what you're doing, then they can be really overwhelming. No, that sounded stupid. So without any further ado, I've got some photo. Video is for the bare basics and how to run us on